Before beginning this repair, it should be known that opening a phone with any type of water resistance will in turn void the said water resistance. You can attempt to fully reseal it, though do so at your own risk. Once the phone has been powered down, the back glass will need to be removed. Before removing the glass, the adhesive underneath will need to be properly heated. Listed now on screen are a few known ways to safely heat the back glass. After the glass has been adequately heated, an X-Acto knife can be wedged underneath the back glass by carefully inserting it in between the glass itself and one of the two antenna bands at the bottom of the phone. Once the blade is underneath the glass just barely and you're able to carefully lift up on it, swap it out for a plastic tool, as the metal will easily crack the glass. The plastic tool will then need to be worked around all edges of the phone to loosen the adhesive until the back glass visibly begins to separate from the phone and can be easily pulled off. If you notice it becomes harder to move the tool throughout the adhesive, you'll likely want to apply more heat to the area. Now that the back glass is off, there will be 12 total Phillips screws that hold 3 separate plastic pieces in place that will need to be removed. If you notice that there's a screw or two that doesn't seem to want to come out all the way, using an opening tool to act as a lever while unscrewing it should do the trick. Using an opening tool, you'll want to very carefully pry off the top portion of plastic from the left side. The next piece, which contains the wireless charging adapter, can be removed by using a plastic spudger and prying on the left side of it, lifting it out of place. The bottom piece of plastic, which contains the loudspeaker, can also be pried up in the same fashion on the left side and lifted out. Before going any further, it is advised to unclip the battery. The motherboard will then have to be removed. In no particular order, you'll need to unclip the following: the front camera, which can also be removed, the display assembly, the power button, both the front sensors and ear speaker assembly, the home button, and finally, the 2 cellular coax cables. Now the SD and SIM card tray will need to be removed before the motherboard can be folded back. Once the tray has been removed, prying under the board with a plastic spudger in the area for the front camera should give you enough leverage to fold the board back, exposing the charge port clip, which will need to be removed, freeing the board from the phone. To remove the back camera, you'll want to flip the board to the other side and unclip the camera from it. You'll then want to begin to pry between the camera and the board, carefully working your way around the edges of the camera with the plastic tool until it becomes unadhered. Heat is not advised when doing so, as the adhesive is not nearly strong enough to require it, and there are various exposed components that can be easily damaged by the heat. To install the new camera, you'll want to lay it into the board and clip it in. Reapplying the adhesive under the camera isn't necessary at all, but can be done if desired. Once the camera is in place, the charge port will need to be clipped back on before the board can be laid into the housing. When placing the board into the housing, you'll want to make sure all flex cables are safely out of the way before laying the board in completely. The following can now be clipped back onto the board, again in no particular order: the display assembly, the power button, the ear speaker and front sensors, the volume buttons. The front camera can be laid in and clipped in. the home button, and finally the two cellular coax cables. The coax cables are a pain to clip back in, but you'll want to exercise patience and caution as the clips are very fragile. The battery can now be clipped back in at this time as well, before placing the plastic loudspeaker piece back in place, bottom first, and securing these Phillips screws in place. The wireless charging adapter piece can be laid in by sliding the bottom under the loudspeaker piece and clipping it in the rest of the way, before also replacing the screws for it. The top plastic piece can then be replaced, installing it from the top, then down both sides. The sides may be somewhat difficult to clip in, so some force may be required to secure it in before the remaining screws can be replaced. Before reapplying the back glass, the adhesive on the phone and glass will need to be cleaned off. Removing the adhesive from the housing can be done by scraping it off with an opening tool. To remove the adhesive from the glass, you'll want to apply a little bit of heat to it before attempting to remove the adhesive, as the adhesive sometimes can pull the cellophane backing off with it. Listed on screen are a few safe ways to heat the back glass. You'll notice the heating times have changed from when we initially opened the phone. Once the adhesive becomes soft and gluey, you can use a plastic tool of some kind to carefully scrape and peel the adhesive off the glass. Now that the old adhesive is removed, the new adhesive can be applied to the phone itself. After the adhesive is on, the back glass can be sat back onto the phone, though you may want to clean the inside of the camera lens before doing so. You'll want to align the glass as best as possible before beginning to lay it into the phone. Once it's on the phone, run your hand around the edges of the glass to allow the adhesive to fully adhere. Finally, the SD and SIM card tray can be slid back into the phone, finishing the repair.